Mark Dillman was a strong, healthy 37-year-old, never in the hospital a day in his life. But that was 5 months and 60 pounds ago, before a swig from a Powerade bottle changed his life forever.
A friend of the family had left it in the car, and we grabbed it thinking it was part of our groceries.
The friend had poured air conditioner coil cleaner, an extremely corrosive bright blue liquid, in the Powerade bottle to take to his uncle's house.
Then the next day I was working out in the yard. It was probably 9 o'clock in the morning and it was hot. Grabbed it out of the freezer, not noticing it wasn't frozen or anything. Took one big gulp and it changed everything.
He started convulsing, screaming, vomiting, and felt his insides turn to an inferno.
It was hell. I begged God, I begged the doctors, the EMTs just to kill me.
He spent days in the ICU and weeks in the hospital.
They said I shouldn't have made it past the first night in ICU. That's a miracle that I'm alive.
One thought that still haunts Mark: what could have happened, since his 8-year-old nephew was home that day too.
I thank God it was me instead of him, so he's my world. I love him to death.
Dr. Julie Jacobs treats patients in the emergency room at the Children's Hospital of Georgia and sees what happens when a child swallows caustic chemicals.
It's very serious. It can cause a lot of respiratory issues as well as the esophageal burning, and a lot of the kids either die from it or end up in the ICU. It really can just eat through your esophagus, and so the tube that you swallow and your food goes to your stomach, it'll just eat right through it.
She sees about a dozen kids a year come into the ER after being accidentally poisoned, and often chemicals poured into sports drink containers are the culprit.
Gatorade containers are really very commonly seen, and it's a big problem because kids either don't read or they just see Gatorade and they think, oh, hey, it's fluorescent color, let me drink it.
Paint thinner is another easy chemical to mistake. Back in 2014, we interviewed a family whose 3-year-old drank from a water bottle full of paint thinner left behind by maintenance workers.
Why would you take chemicals like this out of the original container and pour it in a water bottle?
Unfortunately, it's more common than you might think, and usually just out of convenience of having a smaller, empty container lying around. But we put it to the test. Antifreeze, paint thinner, and the air conditioner cleaner Mark drank. Nearly impossible to tell which is the drink and which is the chemical.
It had no odor to it. And I just opened it up and one big gulp.
That one big gulp was his last. Most of his food and medicine come from a tube, and he can only swallow small bites that melt in his mouth.
I want this to be in every mother's head or father's head that they don't need to do it because it could be their child. I don't want anybody to go through what I'm going through. I wouldn't wish this on my worst enemy.